Since Justiguy has arrived and returned to Hanamizawa for some more of Himatsubushi, and we only just started it on. Well, it says Friday. It was technically Thursday. I meant to come back last night. Brain work. Yes, it would have been last night, but well, in all honesty, kind of just felt like garbage yesterday. So we're here on Saturday now. But never fear, I am here. And so is our good friend Akasaka Mamoru. So let's just jump right in. Oh, forget that. The phone suddenly rang. I woke up in a hurry. The clock at 9 p.m. Damn it. I slept past the time I was supposed to report in. I picked up the receiver. Akasaka-sama. You have a call from an outside line. Shall I connect you? It's from a co-worker named Kano-sama. Do it. I didn't call in, so they phoned me. Sorry. Please put them through. Understood. I'll connect you, so please hang up the receiver for the time being. After I had put down the receiver for a few seconds, the phone began to ring again. I don't know why I added a 1 in there. Began to ring again. Before I picked it up, however, I took a moment to pause and, hold on, what time did he say it was? Let's see, it's 9 a.m., but I took a moment to pause and appreciate the sound of the ocean waves and seagulls in my hotel room here in, I believe, Okinomiya. Let's just pause and take a minute to appreciate that. Truly, the peace and calm brought about by the seagulls. Sublime, I do say so myself. But now we shall continue. Yes, hello. This is Akasaka. Akasaka-kun, this is Kano. Good work out there. You didn't call in for your regular report, so we called instead. What's your situation? Apologies if that picked up. I've got some apple cider here. Leaving the lecture for later, my senior co-worker got straight to the point. Today I went to the village proper. Under the guise of a tourist, I managed to establish contact with the mayor and several other core members of the Defense Alliance. I wasn't able to ask them anything, but I left a good impression and was able to make a bridge for my investigation from tomorrow onwards. See, looks like things are going smoothly. Akasaka-kun, you seem rather naive sometimes, but that might have worked in your favor. You goddamn adorable moe bastard, you. I guess you made some good progress for now? I don't have the experience to make a comparison, so I don't know if that's good or not. I think things went well for today, though. Did you find out anything from the prefectural or local offices? Does it look as though the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance is unrelated to this incident? I still didn't know. I should have been able to say that immediately. I only had to say that, but for some reason, hesitated. I'm still investigating, so I don't know what to say yet. See, could you let us know as soon as possible? I think you understand, but after tonight, it'll have been a full 4 days since the kidnapping. Blah, why am I pronouncing words weird? I see. Could you let us know as soon as possible? I think you understand, but after tonight, it'll have been a full 4 days since the kidnapping happened. Why am I doing it again? It'll have been a full 4 days since the kidnapping happened. They didn't set a time limit, but it's obvious that time is not on our side. I think you know that. Yeah, I know. I'll investigate a little quicker while still being careful about it. Okay. Be sure to look after yourself. You're dealing with a violent organization here. It might be dangerous to let your guard down. If you feel that you're in any danger, particularly from small blue-haired girls, contact me immediately. Especially if you, for some inexplicable reason, get the idea that they're the ideal image of your daughter. That's just the sign that you are in life-threatening danger. And there may be no turning back for you, Akasaka-kun. So be sure to contact me immediately. In that case, I can get the local public safety office prepared to help you. Thank you, especially for that oddly specific warning. I'll do my best. Anything else to report? I reported several bits of supplementary information, and at the very end, I decided to ask, how's the investigation going on your end? Everybody's doing their best here, but we're not making much progress. After all, the number of organizations we're investigating is vast. So, if you find out the one you're investigating is in the clear, we'll have you return to Tokyo to assist some of the other officers. The chief is saying to dig up what you can on Onigafuchi, but I don't think a residential anti-dam protest group has any relation to the incident at hand. I mean, what are the odds? Sending somebody out just to investigate a single group makes me cringe, really. I mean, what are the odds? At this point, he was just complaining. He was telling me to stop taking time enjoying my trip, finish up, and get back quick. I'll try and resolve this as soon as I can. Thanks, I'm counting on you. Well then, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Okay, that's all I have. As we were ending our call, he scolded me thoroughly for being late with my regular report. After that, I hung up the phone and sprawled out on the bed. Come to think of it, I hadn't heard anything from Ooishi. He was supposed to contact me about a time and place to meet with the informant tonight. I thought about getting angry with Ooishi in retaliation for being scolded for forgetting my daily report. Come to think of it, though, Ooishi didn't really say anything other than he was going to call tonight. Waiting for a phone call when you didn't know what time it was going to come was, itself, rather difficult. What convenient timing! Just when I thought that, the phone rang. I picked up the receiver in a hurry. Hello? Well, this is a surprise. Oh, it's their flirty music. Let me just put this out. Change it to something more comfortable. Well, this is a surprise. Akasaka-san, you're pretty quick to answer the phone. Are you a regular user of dating chat lines or something? I would never even try something seedy like that. The way you overreact is rather interesting. Want to go to a place where you can have a little bit of lewd fun? I'll pass. So, could you please get to the point, Ooishi-san? Really? Too bad. We'll leave that for next time, then. Well, I'll get to the point. Many of the executives in the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance had a lot of sway in the neighboring regions. Even in Okinomiya, there were a lot of people with relations in the village. That's why meeting in the Shishibone Market District, far away from Okinomiya, was a matter of course. Akasaka-san, over here. Did you get a little lost? Coming from the north entrance might have been a little bit of a detour, but it was easier to give directions from there. Though I'm sorry for being late. Did you eat dinner already? Yeah, I already did. Dude, it's 9 fucking p.m. You should be eating this late. It's not healthy. Don't any of you judge me out there for saying that. Well then, shall we go to a place where we can get a drink? Do you prefer Western alcohol? Or maybe sake? Would you prefer a place with or without women? Don't worry about it. I don't drink while I'm on the job. Also, I'm kind of married and about to have a child, so... Hearing that, the man Ooishi had brought along had bent backwards as he guffawed, clapping Ooishi on the shoulder. Isn't he just adorable? That deserves a screen cap. In exchange, can you give him a bit extra? That money all came from this guy's wallet, you know? The man that Ooishi had brought almost seemed almost like a ticket scalper or a bookie. Even his appearance was dubious. The informant grinned deviously. Hey, boy. How much did you give this guy? Looks like there quite was a bit skimmed off the top, you know? Ooishi's handling fee was included, as I took that into account. It seemed that the informant had expected a more extravagant reaction on my part. When I responded matter-of-factly, he realized that I was an entirely different type of person than he was. And rather than putting a distance between us, it seemed that I had piqued his interest. I said it, didn't I? He's the serious type. But do you see, Akasaka-san? People in a line of work like ours really use their wealth of experience to their advantage. I wonder exactly how the experience of drinking in a bar with women would work to my advantage. The informant, unable to contain himself, clutched at his stomach as he guffawed, heedless of people watching. Oh, lordy. Akasaka-san, you really can judge people. That's what an education does for you. Ooishi-san, you've been drinking somewhere, haven't you? Are you drunk? What's wrong with drinking when I'm off duty, Akasaka-san? Even if you're working, I'm not. Ooishi-san, who was the sort that'd fool around to begin with, was in such a good mood I couldn't figure out a way to deal with him. Completely different than me, who had come worried about getting every bit of information I could. Ooishi-san, after taking so much money, you were supposed to give me information worth at least as much. I thought this, but then realized that I was getting my information from the informant, so it didn't matter how drunk Ooishi was. There's nothing I could complain about, but I still felt slightly riled up. Ooishi and the informant, it was no doubt a fake name, but he introduced himself as Sato, led the way deeper and deeper into the back streets of the market district. After all, what's wrong with taking the back streets? Even though the market was bustling a couple of turns off the main street and you were in a desolate alleyway. The opposite direction of N desolate alleyway, Ooishi started climbing a set of stairs on the side of a seedy building. There wasn't any sort of signage, so I couldn't tell if the place was open or if it was even a store at all. And don't worry, this isn't a dubious place. Those words coming from Ooishi's mouth had absolutely no credibility. Beyond the door was, thankfully, a typical mahjong parlor. I was relieved that it wasn't the sort of suspicious place I had to be on my guard about. Welcome, welcome! Oh, Ooishi-san, it's been a while. Want to join in? There'll be a free spot soon. No, I am here with a group today, so it's fine. Oh, sorry to keep you waiting. Mahjong is a game played with 4 people. It seems that a middle-aged man who was going to be our 4th had already arrived and was waiting for us. You're late, Kuraudo. I was just thinking of going home. Ooishi made an excuse for why we had taken so long. Eventually, realizing that I was a new face, the other man grew interested. That's Akasaka-san. He's a rookie who came all the way from Tokyo on assignment. I have high hopes for him. Boy, can you play mahjong? Oh, well, I played a bit when I was still a student. Sato and the old man cackled in unison. Their plot to sucker me out of my money was painfully obvious. I thought you'd be a bit tired from your assignment, leaving you on edge all the time. So I thought I'd give you a night to cleanse your spirits. I know asking this now might be stupid, but we're betting money on this, aren't we? Well, you see, just a little. It's just for funsies, just a little for funsies. But it doesn't matter who loses, because after all this, we're using that money to go play at a very nice place. Go and play? At what kind of place would you be doing that? Without reservation, the three of them started suggesting places like cabarets, high-class clubs, and even brothels. At the very least, they were the type of places that you couldn't go with money that was just for funsies. Ooishi-san took all my money the other day, and I also have work to do, so I can't stay for long. And all you have to do is win. And if you win, then you can use that money to pay for this table, and you can talk to Kuraudo about work or whatever. No matter what happened, it seemed like they were intent on playing mahjong for free. I would have to fasten my resolve a bit. Getting flashbacks to that one OVA, Higurashi OVA specifically. I was gonna be underestimated like this forever. It was gonna get in the way of my work. I understand. Then I'll play with you guys for just a bit. I win. You guys don't get any of the money or get to go to any of those dirty places, and we talk about work right away. Yeah, bring it on. If I win, we're headed straight to Blue Mermaid on Flower Road. Oh, that place where the girls dress up in gym clothes and maid uniforms? This old lech here likes that place too. Of course, we're going to hop between all the places where they keep the girls coming. Ew. What about you, Sato-san? I'd prefer a place where we can drink quietly. Like a nice quiet place where you can play footsies with a bunny girl. Last time we went drinking, you pulled the tail right off that bunny girl, didn't you? And did you end up having to pay for that? The owner ended up charging what we call the tailoring fee. Or the tailoring fee. God damn. What a lively table this was. I could tell the customers were glaring at us while we loudly continued our crude conversation. Akasaka, you just because you're sitting there with them doesn't mean you have to include yourself in the we here. Speaking of which, the fact that they assumed I was the same was a bit disheartening. Ooishi had taken all the money I'd brought, so everything I had left was out of my own pocket. In addition, there wasn't much left of that either. I kept on hanging around him like this. For his goading, my wallet would disappear into the night. I had to somehow win and return the conversation to my job. These people, no matter how you looked at it, they were pretty good. Sorry, Yukie. Well then, I'll just go reach here. Well, the old man and Sato-san probably won't fall for this silly Ooishi. Wonder if Akasaka-kun will spit out what I need. Oh, are we suddenly in Ooishi's perspective? At any rate, Kuraudo's hand is probably holding something like that, huh? In that case, this one ought to go through there! Oh, the old man's pretty good. He's quietly trying to use one of my safe tiles to complete his hand, isn't he? It seems that Akasaka-kun has at least learned the ropes when it comes to guarding against someone's Richi. But that will be his downfall. What's wrong, boy? Would you hurry up and discard? If you're not sure, anything that Kuraudo's already thrown away should be safe, no? Ooh, Akasaka-kun's really fretting over this one. It was glaringly obvious that he had a safe tile to discard, but he didn't want to throw it away because it would move him farther from completing his hand. They're so nice when they're young and innocent. Come on, hurry up and throw out the kicker. If he gave me the winning tile, we'd be headed to an establishment where I could deal with all sorts of licking and sucking. Ooishi! My god, man! If he gives the old man his winning tile, we'd be heading straight to the place with maids and bloomers. This will go through, right? He looked up as he hesitantly threw out a tile that was... Oh, too bad. Hey now, that's a dangerous tile, you know? Kuraudo, does that go through? Yeah, it will. It seems this time you were lucky. But as long as the round kept going, I could still win off the draw. But after that, Akasaka-kun managed to luckily avoid throwing any bad tiles, and somehow the round managed to end without anybody completing a hand. Tenpai, no 10. Sato-san had keenly anticipated that two players were in Nichi and had decided to play it safe. What a cool-headed way of playing. Now, let's see, what kind of hand did Akasaka-kun have? When the round ends with nobody winning a mahjong, anybody in Tenpai has to show their hand. But if you're not in Tenpai, you have no obligation to reveal it. Your average beginner would normally show their hand even if they weren't in Tenpai, and start a commotion about how if this tile or that tile came, they would be in Tenpai. But he didn't. Being stingy? How'd you do, boy? Come on, show me. Sato-san reached over to flip the hand that Akasaka-kun had casually placed face down. What the hell is this? He was nowhere near Tenpai. Was Akasaka-kun totally bad at this after all? Right then, as the old man compared the tiles from Akasaka-kun's hand to the discard pile, a puzzled expression crossed his face. Boy, you were in Tenpai right around here, weren't you? Why'd you break your hand? The higher Manzu tiles suddenly got more valuable, so he suppressed them. Even though with Ooishi-san's Richi, the chances they were safe tiles had increased. It would have been in no trouble if he read the discards, but he went out of his way to keep them out of play. Oh? So Kuraudo's Tenpai was no good from the start, in other words. If it wasn't such a high-level trap, I would have thought that you were waiting for me to throw out the winning tile. But the more concerning thing is that you were in Tenpai and didn't say anything. Or did you realize I was in Tenpai? Around here? You threw out 4 tiles in a row immediately. At first I thought you were just discarding redundant tiles, but I noticed you glancing over at me and realized you were waiting for something. Akasaka-kun. You, Akasaka-san. When you did you, Akasaka-san, when you did you first start playing mahjong? I never did, except in high school and university. Now, let's continue. If Sato-san wasn't in Tenpai and the round ended without a winner, then I'm next, right? The next dealer. It seems like Akasaka-kun is really aware of how the game flows. We thought we were just going to eat him alive. But it looks like that isn't going to be so easy. Ooishi-san, looks like you're going for the bamboo tiles. Should I put some in play? This boy. Kuraudo, don't back down. As long as I get 3 more good tiles. Nato-san, you think you could do it? Damn it. I'll just force you to go for a cheap tanyao. Chi! Straight. Well, sorry, I'm gonna pawn that tile. Whoa, now. I want to call that 3 of a kind after he declared a straight? Trying to override and interfere? Boy, you're getting pretty used to this. Oh no, I couldn't even compare to you guys who have been playing since before I was even born. That's game. Non. Triplets, 2 red Dora and 3 more Dora. I'm the dealer, so this'll cost you quite a bit. Gah! Akasaka-san, nice job. Now we'll have to get serious, won't we? Well, can you get serious about handing over your points? I'm tired, so let's end this quickly. Akasaka-kun? This is somehow... Before I could realize it, there was an ominous cold air emitting from beneath Akasaka-kun's feet. How blasé. 2.5 and 8 Manzus are laughing at you. Damn it! Boy, you... Kuraudo, finish it! You have to end the boy's turn as dealer! I hate to admit it, but that seems like the best option. There it is! Run! Simple straights, 1 Dora! Sorry, head bump. Wrong. Straight. A head bump? You damn brat! Brat? So you play that sloppily against a brat? Guess that means you're worse than a brat yourself. It's so interesting. When you guys call people things like brat and boy. Akasaka-kun. That is you, isn't it? It feels like you're a totally different person. You thought that I, being a sucker, would let you drink some good booze tonight. Seems that you were a little off the mark. Wrong. Triple straight, red Dora and another Dora. Whoa! You actually did it! That's why I'm saying you guys are slacking. No matter how you look at it, you have to be able to read such an obvious 3-way weight. Akasaka-kun chuckled as he rested his chin in his hands. That pose was so fitting, it was almost scary. Hey, Kuraudo! This isn't what we discussed! Who the hell said he was a naive sucker ripe for the picking? Who could it be? Ooishi-san, this is bad. If he keeps going like this, we're seriously gonna lose. Akasaka-kun, are you to make me get serious? Looks like you really want to be milked dry. Pong. Pong. That sounds nice. One more time. Pong. Akasaka-kun was almost singing at this point. The tiles he had open were all pin tiles. You can't be serious. Are you really going for the flush? Pong. Boy, are you right in the head? You've opened 4 sets. You only have 1 left, you know. That's right. Did you know? Waiting on a single tile is the hardest thing to read. But are you an idiot? With that much of your hand revealed, you don't think we'd give you a tile you need, do you? I know what you're doing, Akasaka-san. That's not a flush or a half flush, is it? The fact that you called Pong 4 times means you're already in position for an all-triplet hand. Right now, you're far and away in the lead. You're trying to show a flush and goad us into giving you triplets, aren't you? If that's what you think, want to try throwing out some peels? The left 5 tiles in your hand, Ooishi-san. They're pin tiles you're reluctant to throw away, aren't they? Why don't you try discarding them in order from the left? You must be joking. Is he a mahjong god? If not, he had to be the main character of a manga or something. At that moment, the old man sent me a sign under the table. It was a stop sign. The message was simple and clear. Kuraudo, do it. Crush him. I don't like to cheat against kids like this. Idiot! After being disrespected like this, we can't pull back now. Well, I'm not responsible for what happens, you know. Go ahead. Make my day. Here we go, boy. Reach. We'll go open. I'm waiting for a 1, 4, or 7 of pins. Most likely, the tile that Akasaka-kun was waiting for was one of those tiles. With this, Akasaka-kun was no longer capable of winning the hand. When I drew from the wall, I switched out the tile that Akasaka-kun would draw. The tile that I put in was the 1 pin. One of the tiles that the old man was waiting on. Akasaka-kun discarded it a little while ago, so there was no threat of it being the one he needed. Come on, it's your turn, boy. I knew he was troubled that the tile he drew was the 1 pin. Of course, he couldn't discard it. Boy, you must be aware, but if you discard into an open-ichi, it's worth the limit, you know. You don't have to tell me that. The tile that came from Akasaka-kun's hand was an honor tile! Ooh, ain't that something? There's only one north wind tile left, isn't there? You were counting on a really rough wait, weren't you? But with this, Akasaka-kun's fate was decided. Brat. You're lucky you're safe. But your hand only has a single tile. You think you'll be able to run away the rest of this round? So, it's going to be like that. Akasaka-kun glared at the old man with a discerning eye. This guy had pretty good instincts. Did he figure out we were cheating? Let's stop this. Akasaka-kun is a step or two ahead of us. Ooh! You think we can stop after we've come this far? Next! Make him draw it! The next tile Akasaka-kun would draw was the 7 pin. With that, it would be settled. No matter which one he discarded, he'd play right into the old man's hand. An unavoidable full payout! When I drew my tile, I sneakily swapped Akasaka-san. A 2! Crash. What? Akasaka-kun suddenly sneezed, collapsing the wall of tiles in front of him. Hey, what are you doing? Sorry, I accidentally knocked over the wall when I sneezed. There's a penalty for that, right? I'm the dealer, so 4,000 to everybody? Or is the penalty my point sticks? Able to hold back, I guffawed. Oh, that was Ooishi. Akasaka-kun, knowing he was going to be cornered a second time and unable to escape, he took the drastic measure of knocking over his own wall. You're good, boy. To get away from a full payout like that? Ooishi-san, could you not bother putting me in such an obvious trap? If we were at Baba, this would have been the point where I flipped the table. Oh, no. Sorry. I underestimated you. For some reason, you're really good, aren't you? Answer me honestly. You got a lot of experience when you were younger, didn't you? I played quite a bit around Waseda and Takada no Baba. The place I was accustomed to, place I was going... I played quite a bit around Waseda and Takada no Baba. 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 And Takada no Baba. And Takada no Baba. And Takada no Baba. And Takada no Baba. The place I was accustomed to going at pretty high rates, and they chewed me up. I made the woman who would become my wife pretty angry, so I washed my hands of it all. Raised the stakes too high? How much were you playing for at the time? It depends on who I was playing with, but it was more expensive when I played in Kabukicho. The largest stakes I played with were about 20 times the standard rate. 20 times? What kind of stakes were those? Did you have Yakuza at your table? Or pro baseball players? What's this? Kuraudo! You buffoon! Where did you pull this professional from? I give up! Jeez! Boy, it's your win! I surrender! Thank you very much. It was an honor. Oh my, Akasaka-san, your personality really changes when you play. Why do you even have a day job? You'd have no problem living as a freelancer. To be a pro mahjong player, you need both talent and luck. I didn't have anything like that supporting me. Luck is luck. With somebody of your skill, I think you'd be able to make it pretty far. Normal luck doesn't cut it. Calling a con and 1 on time out of 3, you can aim to win on the extra draw with 4 Dora. That kind of luck. Akasaka-con, if you can judge something like that, you're already bordering on the supernatural. No, there's plenty of people who can do that without cheating or superpowers. There was a person I met in Shinjuku who would get Doras every time you blinked. He was as strong as a demon. There was a pro I played with in Yokohama who would draw the tile he needed immediately after calling Nietzsche like it was an everyday thing. I don't have that kind of luck. What type of folks were those? They weren't named Ryu or Satoshi by any chance. Well then, is it alright if I'm declared the overall winner then? Yeah, we totally lost. I lost. It's been a while since I lost this big. Still, when you were playing, boy, you were pretty into it. It was kind of scary. I hear that a lot. I don't mean to change gears like that, though. Did I really look that scary? Yup. 3 of us nodded emphatically in agreement. So that was Akasaka-kun, the mahjong prodigy. Before he goes home from his assignments, maybe I could have him go play at a high-stakes table in my place. But it's not good to get greedy. Well then, nothing for it. It was a promise. We'll break up our little late-night study group right now. Sorry about this, old man. That's it for tonight. Nothing you can do. I'm going home to sleep. My body won't last like this. Problems at work? Oh, he's the... Oh, shit! Oh, he's the foreman of the primary construction site at the Hanamizawa Dam. He's butting heads with the residents every day. It's a rough business. Around next year, I might be in charge of the second site as well. Heard that Kuroda-san was pissing blood. He won't hold out much longer. He'll be alright, old man. Skull is thicker than it looks. Oh, boy. Oh boy, this is what I call a fucking whiplash in mood right here for us viewers and readers, citizens. Holy shit. I'm not exactly a saint, you know. There's times that it just Blake my booba. Did I just say there's times that Blake there's times that just make my blood boil. Especially can't stand dealing with that bratty daughter of the Sonozakis. I think one of these days I'm going to rearrange her oh, damn! You know, better watch out. Now. At least the pay is good, right? The wages were pretty exorbitant. Of course they are. If the pay was cheap, nobody would hang around that god-awful job. Hey, Kuraudo, when exactly are the police going to tell all the villagers to shove off? There'll be a notice of eviction from the government, right? Maybe. I wonder when that will. I wonder what will happen. The old man, who identified himself as the foreman of the Hanamizawa Dam, issued a few complaints until he felt better about it, then left quietly. Ooishi-san, did you plan this whole thing from the start? Well then, let's go. I'll leave the rest to Sato-san. Ooishi-san, are you going home? If I'm here, I'll just be in the way, won't I? Besides, the one who bought Sato-san's services was you. I didn't pay for my share. Ooishi-san was kinda sketchy, but he was strangely conscientious about some things. I felt quite a gap between myself and Oishi's generation. From that part of him, I didn't comprehend. And boy, no, I can't call Mr. Mahjong here boy no more. Is Akasaka-kun alright with you? Yes. Then Akasaka-kun, shall we go? Well then, Akasaka-san, later. If you're having any trouble, you can count on me anytime. But I don't have any more money to pay you, you know that? You could just give back a little what I lost tonight. Oishi, seemingly still not having his fill of playing around, but without overstaying his welcome, disappeared into the night. Higurashi. The informant, named Sato-san, had me get into his car before he set off. He favored narrow roads and made numerous short left turns. Checking if we're being followed? Yeah, you know a lot about this. Checking to see if you were being tailed by making left turns was a rather classic technique. If it was just a single pursuer, you could confirm it that way. If you're being tailed as a team, this archaic method wouldn't let you shake them. Of course, doing it anyway was better than not. I didn't hear anything from the boss as to who you are, Akasaka-kun. Related to the police, if you're familiar with checking for being tailed, the only other possibility I can think of is something like a private detective. If it's not something I have to say, I'd like to refuse to answer the question. My, ever since we played mahjong, you seem a lot more mature. I wonder where that hesitant person went from when we first met. I am just blurring all my words together tonight. I apologize. I wonder where that hesitant person from when we first met. I smiled wryly. Looking back now, I had to be a little grateful for being made to play mahjong. Thanks to that, I was able to relieve some tension. Eventually, Sato-san, confirming that there were no cars following us, ripped outside the city. We were on a pitch-black country road, unable to see anything besides the lights outside. The only thing I was able to hear were the hum of the car's air conditioning, and the chirping of insects and frogs. I heard from the boss that you want to hear about a bit about Hanamizawa Village, yeah? Like about the old houses known as the three families who control the place. Or that right now it's pretty much the Sonozaki family running things. If you know that much already, I'll cut out the introductions. Then, if you would, can you confirm or deny if the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance is involved with the kidnapping of Minister Inugai's grandson? Damn, Akasaka, you're just jumping right in. Sato-san checked the rearview mirror one more time to confirm there wasn't anybody behind us before speaking. Last night, the Sonozaki main house held a family council. Did you hear about it from the boss? No. If it was a normal meeting, then it would just be all the relatives coming together over a nice cup of tea or something. But a family council held by the main house isn't quite so relaxed. The family council held by the Sonozaki main house. That would be a meeting between those who truly controlled Hanamizawa Village. They wouldn't be talking about private family matters. It would be about the village as a whole. About organizing activities against the dam project. Among other things, everything would be decided there. In reality, they were deciding the fate of the village. At the head of the meeting was Sonozaki Oryo, more or less called Empress Sonozaki, as the ultimate decision-maker of the clan. She was to be feared and respected. Infirm with old age, she was often unable to stand on her own. but her words carried enough weight to sway the fate of the village. It seemed that lately she had grown weak, and on days where she wasn't feeling well, remained bedridden. Family councils that occurred while she wasn't feeling well took place with her on the floor. In the middle of a dignified Japanese-style room, still in a futon, only the upper half of her body sitting upright, a stern look on her face. I'm sorry, let me redo that one. In the middle of a Japanese-style room, still in a futon, only the upper half of her body sitting upright, a stern look on her face. That was Sonozaki Orio. Sitting next to her was her heir, Sonozaki Mion. She was still young. No, young wasn't quite the right word. She was a girl who remained childish. Her role was to merely sit beside Sonozaki Orio, sometimes responding to her requests. However, she was the only one deemed worthy to succeed Orio. She had the same hawkish eyes, enough to give pause to anybody who so much as looked at them. Much was expected of her in the future. This granddaughter of the Sonozaki's leader. And also on either side of her sat several other important members of the remaining three families. The Kimiyoshi family and the Furuday family. First on the list for the Kimiyoshi family was, of course, the mayor of Hanamizawa Village, Kimiyoshi Kiichiro. And lined up beside him were several more of his direct relatives. Opposite them sat the other of the three families, the Furuday family. The Furuday family was only comprised of the family of a Shinto priest, so the only ones sitting there were said priest, his wife, and their daughter, Rika. Rika was doted on by many of the older folks in the village, and it seemed that Orio was no exception. While the stress from just attending a family council was said to be enough to shorten your lifespan by 3 days, it seemed like Rika was the only one exempt from that. No matter how charged the atmosphere was around her, she paid it no mind, instead humming along as she doodled in a sketchbook. In fact, the night before, lying on her stomach while humming and doodling, she nonchalantly tucked her legs into Orio's futon like it was a kotatsu. All this was the three families. And all around the room, lined row upon row, were relatives of the Sonozaki family. The only ones who were afforded cushions to sit on were direct relatives. The others were left to sit in the seiza position directly on the tatami mats. With Empress Sonozaki enshrined at their center, they were almost like a giant snake coiled around the room. It was decided that everybody would sit in order of their rank. The number of people from the Sonozaki family was overwhelming. The fact that the Sonozaki family held so many seats at a meeting where everything pertaining to the village was decided made determining where the balance of power was held in the three families as clear as day. The number of members in attendance from each of the families directly reflected how much influence that they had in ruling Hinamizawa. You know, when you picture this, you gotta imagine it's just like a room full of like green hair from the Sonozakis, then like a tiny little blob of blue for the Furudays, and then I don't know, Kimiyoshi's would be, let me think, I think Natsumi and kinda not quite greenish, like greenish, tannish, brownish. I don't remember. I mean, no, she was only like colored on like the cover of the manga. I think Kimiyoshi's like bald. I mean, not Kim. Well, yes, Kimiyoshi, but you know what I mean. He's bald, so. Well, anyway, and then like a last like 6 of the room is whatever their hair color would be. Like, hold on, I'm sorry I'm interrupting the reading, but here I'm just picturing like if a bird's eye view of this room would be like this. Just a very quick doodle here. Like it would be like the one moment, I'm just using some very, very creative MS Paint powers to show what I mean here. Okay, so like I imagine this. Oh, where is it? I imagine that a bird's eye view of this meeting would look pretty much exactly like the image I'm about to show you right now. So it's a very detailed image. Basically, this. It would look like this. As you can see, we've got the Furuday is up there, little blue dot. The Kimiyoshi's right over here. The rest is just a sea of Sonozaki. Now this is, I think, a pretty accurate representation of what this room would look like right now if you looked from above. I mean, yeah, sure, like Orio's hair is like probably graying, pretty gray, but you know, I'd say this is pretty accurate. You know, I mean, I actually might be giving too much room to the Kimiyoshis, but you get the idea, right? Sure, you get the idea. Anyway, just a little side note there. Just, you know, my hair is very colorful. You know, very colorful Yakuza organization we've got going here. Just, you know, something to think about. Anyway, the number of members in attendance from each of the families directly reflected how much influence. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like Rika alone, or maybe Rika entirely, like, if let's be honest, has more influence than the entirety of the Kimiyoshis. I mean, that's just kind of been my impression, but I don't know. What was talked about at that meeting? Sato-san, after remaining quiet for a while, quietly began to speak. Wasn't our monetary gift of appreciation to the media a little large? Breaking the long moment of silence was the head of the Kimiyoshi family, Kimiyoshi Hirashiro. The Onigafuchi Defense Alliance wasn't a business. They were nothing more than a private organization pushing for the cancellation of the Hanamizawa Dam project with no reliable source of income. Fundraising had always been a problem. When they first started operating, they had managed to collect a sizable amount of funds through donations, but the conflict dragged on. That amount was steadily declining. I just had another brain thought. I gotta give me a second. Hold on. Is this it? Okay. I just had it from memory. Okay. So like, back. Okay. Just real quick, spoilers of the latest episode of Sotsu, where I'm gonna just big your spoiler warning. I'm gonna just say spoiler warning for another like 5 seconds. Spoiler warning. There's a thing up here that says spoiler warning. Anyway, okay, latest episode of Sotsu was where Ooishi got involved with stantoko and teppei, and things are clicking in my brain head. Okay, so my brain is thinking, and there's thinking, and thoughts are happening, and being thought. So, like, remember how in the original Tanto Higurashi, well, I mean, obviously, Keiichi just kind of directly went after teppei when we read Tanto Higurashi, but when Keiichi went to appeal to the Onigafuchi Dam Alliance and all that, he, you know, got really heated about that, and I think we were supposed to be led to believe that Ooishi was not really being a bad guy when we were watching this in Go. You know what? I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna actually just turn down the raid and the VN for a little bit, just for a second. I don't know how it sounds on your end, but it's like drowning me out. Anyway, so I feel like we were back in the third arc of Go. We were like being led to believe that Ooishi was working on the side of the people, kind of. And I feel like they kind of hinted that in the last episode of Sotsu, where he's like, you know, Mayabara-san is being dragged into this, even though he doesn't know, you know, she just moved here. He doesn't know what's really going on because, you know, obviously Satoko is pulling the strings. And I'm thinking, that is true in that he's only heard the good glory stories about the dam stuff, not to the extent that all this other stuff. Also, the fact that Ooishi was friends, and I don't remember if I ever knew that or if I'd just forgotten, but also that Ooishi was friends with the original murder victim, which is like, wow. Um, it feels like new information, but I'm sure I knew it at some point, but you know, been over like what 10 years, so you know, whatever. Anyway, point is, um, I think this is the fact that Keiichi. I mean, like, first of all, just going back to the latest episode of Sotsu, I think Oishi is just the way he is kind of going like right away, sort of quote unquote falling apart compared to how we've seen Mion and Reina and other characters act previously. I think does kind of some might call it rushed, and I would say I have been disappointed in this arc. But and you follow me on Twitter and blah 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 if you want to see my reactions of all that blah blah. But I think it kind of makes sense because when you get down to it, Oishi is kind of, and we've seen that as we've read over these past couple question arcs. He is like super paranoid about it, and if we take into consideration, there's this aspect of it's personal. Um, it makes sense that he'd like gonna get kicked into gear right away, especially when Santoko's injecting it directly and not letting things kind of just him get sick. Anyway, my point is, this is sort of speculation for just early, I guess, what might just happen in what might happen in next week's Sotsu are is Keiichi going to the Damn Alliance project stuff going to like really is that going to really trigger Oishi more like because unknowingly because I think there is an interesting kind of I'm not sure if contrast is the word, but it's like an interesting like side to how I don't remember how much Keiichi really knows because I mean you some information kind of collects over loops. Like I know at one point the kidnapping was kind of mentioned in passing as everything was being summarized to Keiichi, but I don't know if that specific detail has been kept to Keiichi because I mean like they're like in I think Tatone Goroshi it was just kind of like said that oh yeah someone mentioned Satoshi the other day, which was like implying that one of the previous conversations from either Watanagashi or Onikakushi it just kind of carried over and like we've heard in Go and Sotsu, loop when you're looping people around you kind of pick stuff up. And but if Keiichi doesn't remember the stuff about like the kidnapping and stuff, he's got this very and I guess he wouldn't because in Go they didn't I don't remember actually if that didn't come up or was just kind of glossed over, then he has this very almost like patriotic look. And I mean, if we remember from Onikakushi, I got into this then too. Just how his feelings for Hanamizawa are very, loyal, and he gets really pulled into it. And that's kind of the point that, the feeling of belonging versus isolation and da-da-da was a big thing in that arc particularly. So him getting dragged into that could be I'm not sure if a trigger for Oishi, but like I'm half speculating, half hoping like where they're gonna go with it, because like they didn't have to have Oishi mention Keiichi specifically. Like I'd like to think that this arc is gonna let go there, maybe like with Oishi like wanting to like I don't know save Keiichi from the fate of being dragged into the evil village or whatever, like because I mean I'm kind of losing my train of thought, but like basically I've lost my train of thought I think. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is I'm getting a much clearer look at the damn alliance than I had in my memory of as of the recent watching of Goal. So I was just kind of with Keiichi, and I'm going to be very disappointed if they don't do more with involving Ooishi and this arc, which involves the Damn Alliance in particular. I kind of get the feeling they're not gonna, but we'll see. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I'm gonna just close this out. Give anyone time to return. The spoiler warning is gone now. There is no fear of spoilers or any of that sort of thing. We are back to the story. I'm going to raise the volume once again. That is very loud rain, if I do say so myself. And anyway, here we go. Breaking the long moment of silence, Defense Alliance wasn't a business, fundraising, and wasn't a problem. When they first started operating, they had managed to collect a sizable amount of funds through donations, but as conflict dragged on, that amount was steadily declining. This isn't an era where you can just get what you want just by throwing rocks. Very important you don't underestimate the power of the media. And we want to borrow some of that down the road. The expressions of the people related to the Sonozaki family were sullen. As the one who suggested that they should borrow that power was the family head, Sonozaki Odio. The battle wasn't just about force of arms. In this civilized age where there were civilized methods of fighting, Odio suggested that creating a strategy incorporating the mass media. Odio's foresight was spot on, and the effects of that plan, while at first unclear, slowly began to manifest. If the physical confrontation at the construction site was meant to delay progress on the dam by even one day, then the propaganda war using the media was aimed at attacking the dam project itself. At first, there were those who had doubts about that strategy, but there was nobody now who called those results into question. But in order to maintain those media ties, a colossal amount of money was required. As long as the amount of funds they had was abundant, things would turn out fine. It couldn't be argued that it was a massive expense, but the results spoke for themselves. But with the conflicts continuing to drag on, circumstances had changed. The head of the Sonozaki family, no, the one who sat at the pinnacle of the Hanamizawa's three families, Odio, had suggested the idea herself, so it was already untouchable and continued to be allowed to drain from the budget. Nobody acknowledged that it should be so allowed, but nobody could say anything. That was the price of dealing with the mass media. The true evil, far above that of Oyashiro-sama's curse. What do you think, Odio-san? The only person who could object to a plan proposed by the head of the Sonozaki household herself was probably Mayor Kimiyoshi. Odio, with a hard-to-define expression on her face, as if she had severed herself from the fetters of mortal emotion, simply listened quietly to Kimiyoshi's words. But really, it was hard to tell if she was quietly listening or didn't even have the intention of listening at all. Last year, we went through a lot of trouble getting people to wrap their heads around the price hike on the bulletins we were putting out. We convinced them it was just the one time. Just wouldn't do if we had another one this year. Right, Furuday-san? The mayor looked to the priest and his wife from the Furuday family for affirmation. The priest gave a vague expression. Vague expression goes here, avoiding a prompt response. But his wife gave her answer without a second thought. That's right. The cost of the bulletins are a particularly harsh burden on the poorer families. Everybody is dealing with it for the sake of the village, but it's best we don't increase the prices anymore. The bulletin was, as its name implied, a bulletin published by the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance. outline the Alliance's activities, ideals, and resolve. But you couldn't deny the contents were rather piecemeal. That bulletin's main goal wasn't to inform people, but rather was something to sell to businesses and people living in the village or connected to it, and using those sales to collect funds. In other words, it had become something of a tax. Of course, it didn't have to be said that this was one of the main... Of course, it didn't have to be said that this was one of the main sources of income for the Yonigafuchi Defense Alliance. Originally, purchase was supposed to be voluntary, but in Hanamizawa, it had silently become the opposite. In the neighboring towns as well, it seemed that many businesses were buying copies just to avoid butting heads with the Alliance. The priest whispered to his wife to not say anything unnecessary, but was struck down, decidedly, with a cold glare. Cowering from that glare, the priest shut his mouth. The priest's wife always held the power in their relationship. That was because she was the one who carried the Furuday bloodline. The priest merely married into the family. He was nothing more than somebody who adopted the name just to join the three families. He should have been able to find a spot fairly high up in the hierarchy of things, but the lack of authority in his voice meant that he still had not gained any favor. Casting a backwards glance at her rather disparate parents, Rika continued to doodle whimsically without paying them any mind. Signaled by a look from Oreo, Mion brought her ear closer to her grandmother. I see. There, something was said to her in a quiet voice. After responding with a couple questions, Mion looked around the room and conveyed her grandmother's words. There will no freeze. There will no freeze. There will no freeze on the price increase for the bulletin. Miyoshi had made a face, but he had just bit into something unpleasant. That expression quickly disappeared like it had never happened at all. But, Mion-chan, I think you already know this, but the cost of the bulletin is by no means easily affordable. It's a burden carried by everybody in Hanamizawa. If you make people carry too much of a burden, it's possible will collapse from the inside. Who on the inside would start that collapse? Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm asking who would be the first to buckle. Being cross-examined by a girl who still had fragments of childishness remaining within her, the words stuck in Kimiyoshi's throat as he sunk into silence. Mion repeated her question once more, looking around the crowded room. Everyone refrained making eye contact to avoid being pierced by her gaze. The words she had spoken were unarguably said in proxy for Oreo. That's why when Mion spoke them, they carried the same weight. But the look in her eyes was different. Like Oreo's, they had a hawkish gaze, strong enough that anyone looking upon them would freeze in their tracks and yield. But that gaze was, without question, one that belonged to Mion herself. As Mion would eventually inherit everything from Oreo, the day when she would stand up as a young and capable leader in her own right would come. Nobody wanted to believe otherwise for even a minute. That's why nobody even thought of Mion as just some sort of little kid. Miyoshi-san, Nobody will lose their resolve over something like a price hike on the bulletin. Sumiyoshi, while grumbling a little bit, made a gesture as if to say he had no objection. The expenses related to the mass media will continue. If those expenses become too much, we'll have no choice but to continue the price hikes. Neon had rendered her judgment. Everyone bowed their heads, silently listening to her words. In the name of Sonozaki Mion, as acting head of the Sonozaki family, I hereby declare that all this shall be effective immediately. There shall be no objections, and any opposition shall be removed by force. The formal decree was read aloud, indicating her judgment. There would be no retrial. But there was a certain authority in those words that even a courthouse couldn't compare to. If she was a judge, she would have banged her gavel, signaling that the matter was settled. Mion pulled out a large bell from inside her clothes. Rang. Everyone present could only prostrate themselves before the harsh sound of the bell. Well, that's a rather old-fashioned family council, isn't it? A young guy like you would probably find it hard to believe. In an antiquated place like this, these types of things have firm roots. It was exactly as Ooishi had said. The old system of the three families had vanished, and now the Sonozaki family was running things by themselves. On top of that, their rule was borderline despotic? It's a despot, but despotic? Despotic. Despoticable. Was that the end of the meeting? No, there's more. I'll continue. Eventually, after the ringing of the bell ceased, there was a deafening silence. Within that, lone man shuffled closer to Mion and whispered something in her ear. Mion asked several questions quietly in response. She was satisfied. He motioned for the man to leave. The man who talked to Mion was a member of a gang that her father was the leader of. That organization had the entire area of Shishibone City under its control, so it was quite well known even here. Of course, this was talking about the criminal underworld, so it's not like just anybody would know. But just showing a patch with the gang symbol on it was enough to resolve any disputes in the neighborhood. Mion's biological father, Turodio, was her daughter's husband. The power of that man's gang was the driving force that controlled the dark underbelly of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance. And so that man, from his position as the next in line to control the three families, continued to coerce everybody around him with his unconventional presence. Mion exchanged a look with her father. Was it okay for her to tell what she just heard directly to Odio? It looked like she was asking him that question. Her father gently, but firmly, nodded his response. Mion also nodded, then sidled up to Odio and informed her of something. Eventually, Mion finished conveying her message, separated herself from Odio, and fixed her posture, waiting for Odio to signal her response. It wasn't often that Odio showed any emotion. That's why. When she started to laugh quietly, A vague sense of uneasiness crept over everyone inside the room. That's quite the conundrum, isn't it? Odio was laughing so happily that Hiroshi had to hesitantly ask, "What is it, Odio-san?" "This land is like a mother to us. But then this business with the dam is like somebody threatening our mother's life, isn't it?" Kimiyoshi, unable to comprehend the meaning of her words, looked confused. Odio, with a wide grin on her face, turned towards everyone and addressed them in a clarion voice. "Minister behind the dam project is apparently rattled over the kidnapping of his grandson. That makes us even." It's absurd! Information on the kidnapping of Minister Inugai's grandson shouldn't have leaked from anywhere. How did they know? We didn't know much about the kidnapping incident. How did an antiquated household so far away from Tokyo come to know of it? It was Tranquil Place. It was Tranquil Place. It was Tranquil Place. It was Tranquil Place, but I couldn't help but have an uneasy feeling about Hanamizawa Village. At some point, I had mentally filed this place away as unrelated to the incident at hand. That mental paperwork had just blown away in the wind. How did the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance know about that? Nato-san, unable to come up with an answer, fell into silence. Sorry, please continue. Sure. I mean, there's kind of an obvious answer here. Our song! The Minister of Construction's grandson was kidnapped? Oreo-san, is that true? That major of an incident was nowhere to be seen in the newspapers or on TV. But in Hanamizawa, there was nothing strange about Oreo knowing something that the rest of the world didn't. Our pain is the pain of losing a mother. I don't think it completely made up for it, but the pain of losing a grandchild. You'll have to bear with that for a bit, don't you think? The last question wasn't addressed to anyone in particular. It was as if she was looking for consensus. Still, land and a human child are different things. I don't mind hiding him here, but I want no harm to befall him. The child isn't to blame. Make sure to keep that in mind. That means that the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance were involved in the kidnapping? I can't say for certain. Why? Even though their leader, Oreo, was clearly giving orders on the treatment of the kidnapped child? Lad, you see, this is what the Sonozaki family always does. Always does? What do you mean by that? Let's say there was a particular problem. One that wasn't exactly favorable for the Sonozaki family. If Oreo shows concern over that particular problem, hearing that, somebody who attended the family council would be helpful. As a result, Oreo's wish would be granted. However, neither Oreo or anyone else would know who actually did it. With this kind of clever little ploy, the Sonozaki family was able to manipulate events even though they had their hands laid out on the table. Then that means someone who was at the family council was the culprit? Or there's the possibility that there was never a culprit in the first place. Oreo herself, in that room full of people, didn't explicitly say that somebody pulled off the kidnapping. She was just giving her opinion. It was an odd and unpleasantly secretive way of doing things. Were they involved or weren't they? I couldn't see beyond the veil. This much, however, I could say with certainty. This kidnapping was an ironclad secret. No matter how high a position somebody was in, even they would know about it. If there was someone who would know about it, they would be connected to public safety. In other words, one of us. The only other options were people connected to the case itself. Including the minister, there would be people affected by the incident, or the people who committed it. In any case, there was no way an old household in a place removed from Tokyo by over 6 hours of highway travel should know about it. Them knowing it all was already strange. My suspicions began to accumulate, like falling snow. That's as much as Oryo said in regards to the kidnapping. Hopefully what you wanted to find out was in there. After this, it's up to you. I don't know what kind of work you're doing, but if you're going up against the Sonozaki family, you'd best prepare yourself. Ooishi might be fearless, but even he's been attacked 2 or 3 times. He hasn't been wearing it lately, but at one point he was wearing a stab-proof vest while off duty. So, thanks for the warning. I'll be careful. You speak pretty well. Are you from Tokyo by chance? Huh? What's your point? Investigators were always close to danger. Best not to divulge any information on myself. Your job. Could it you possibly be? Could it you possibly be? Could it be? What did they mean here? I think it was, could it be your possibly someone? And then it was, could it be your possibly someone? And could you possibly be someone? And then it's like they got combined those two. Could you possibly be someone from the Metropolitan Public Safety Division? I couldn't remain silent here. It would be the same thing as admitting it. Huh? No way. This wasn't accounted for in the money I got from the boss. But as someone who played at the same table today, I'll give you this one as a freebie. After Oryo talked about the kidnapping, there was one other topic that came up. Another topic that Oryo brought up? And right before he told me this, Sato-san asked if I was from the Metropolitan Public Safety Division. In other words, what those two things meant caused a chill to run down my spine. Up my spine, in fact. So you see, in order to investigate the kidnapping of the minister's grandson, there's word that there will be an investigator from public safety dispatched all the way from Tokyo. An investigator from public safety? They can't be reckless and make a big deal over the kidnapping. So it seems the Metropolitan Public Safety Division is investigating this on their own. Ain't that grand? What is it? Rika, who had been drawing the entire time and was completely uninterested in the conversation up until now, looked at Oryo with an interested face as soon as the topic of public safety came up. Did the Metropolitan Police come? Oh, so Rika-chama knows about the Metropolitan Police Department? That's very admirable. Who came? Is there anybody that knows what kind of guy from public safety came here? Mion's father raised his hand slightly. I hear that it's a nice young piece of fresh meat. Fresh meat? Is it nice and tender? Yeah, it is. It's fresh meat. Mion's father smiled wryly as he answered Rika's question. Tender and tasty? Yeah, tender and tasty. Rika smiled with interest. Why did Rika suddenly act interested only when it came to this topic? That was a question that apparently nobody had the answer to. Does Rika-chama know something about this man? I don't know. After her rather flat reply, Rika buried herself underneath Orio's futon again. But when she buried herself there, Rika no longer started drawing again. Instead, she was making an expression like she was deep in contemplation. What shall we do about him, Mother? Mion's father posed the question. He had the type of uncouth expression on his face indicating that, given the order, he could snuff the problem out at any time. He came all the way to Hanamizawa. Let him take it easy for a little while. So you're saying to just let him go around as he pleases? Mion's father asked in response. Oreo smiled thinly as she responded. Leave him alone, but if he starts causing too much mischief, when that happens, don't hold back. I don't enjoy being taken lightly, is what they talked about, apparently. It couldn't be that you're that fresh meat from the Metropolitan Police, are you? It couldn't be. The sensation of cold, bristling fear began to crawl its way up my back. This family council took place last night. In other words, yesterday. Then today, while I was dressed up as a tourist headed towards Hanamizawa, my cover was already blown. When I remembered the first person I met when I got to the bus stop, I couldn't breathe. The person at the family council who expressed interest in the man being dispatched from the Metropolitan Police. Furuday Rika. And then the person who was waiting for me the whole time in the bus shelter. Furuday Rika. It was an unthinkable image. No, it was a delusion. When we met at the bus shelter, did Rika-chan already know my true identity? Did she know that I was Akasaka, dispatched from the Metropolitan Police Department, and came to meet me? Then, including Mayor Kimiyoshi, every villager that I met, everyone knew, just pretended not to? Is Oyo given instructions not to interfere? Thinking about it logically, it didn't seem possible. I met quite a number of people. If there's people that are good at acting, then there's people who are bad at hiding things. If there was that many people, then there should have been people among them who knew I was from public safety and couldn't hide their hostility. However, I didn't feel any presence like that. But then even still, why did Oreo tell them to leave me alone? Was it because if they were careless about it, it would only raise more suspicion? Or was it because they believed a rookie like me wouldn't be able to find anything? Or was it because they believe they're in the right, and once seeing Hanamizawa, they believe you'll be converted? That's kind of where I'm feeling with this. That might be me and my naivete and bad habit of giving the benefit of the doubt showing, but that's kind of where I'm thinking on this one. Akasaka is a coward. I recalled that strange voice, which could only make me believe that Rika-chan had been possessed. That unknown entity, no matter how you looked at it, knew my true identity from the get-go. And then, how did it warn me again? That's right. It warned me to hurry up and go back to Tokyo. Instead of the realistic worry that the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance had discovered my identity, the absurd worry brought on by the unknown girl stuck with me more. What exactly was that? What was the thing I would eventually regret? That mysterious girl. Rika. Let's stop this. Everything I was thinking of right now was merely conjecture. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'll report everything I heard right now to HQ and we'll wait further orders. There was no mistaking that the possibility the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance were related to this case was there. And the fact that my cover was blown meant I was in a precarious position. It but as everyone at HQ is already extremely busy, they might not be able to spare the support. Is that everything? If you want, I can drop you off wherever you like. Sorry. In that case, the station where we originally met, please. A rural road where even a streetlight was rare. I couldn't see anything. I wasn't aware of anything but the asphalt that was lit up by the headlights. Outside of that light, was it simply darkness? Or was there something lurking there, waiting to strike? I had to think I drew the short straw here. I wanted to go back to Tokyo. For some reason, the voice of the girl warning me to go back to Tokyo still lingered in my head. For some reason. But what reason could that possibly be? You have received new tips. The investigation runs around. Runs around. Let's read those tips. The investigation runs around. Runs around. Runs around. You run around. I run around. We all do a run around. Yeah. Yesterday, when we met at the restaurant in Ginza, that topic popped up. That's overstepping their boundaries, isn't it? They're meddling too much with the public safety. If they keep doing that, they're going to set a bad precedent. It seems that Minister Inugai is openly uncomfortable about the way public safety is doing things. The Vice Minister is probably going to say something to that effect during Monday's debate session. But what can you do? You only have the director address the Vice Minister. That's why we pay him the big bucks. Well, if it comes to that, they're going to ask him for proof that the minister's being threatened. Sometimes I don't know which side he's on. If he's not on ours, then what? Well, he's probably getting some pressure from the minister. We'll probably just have to proceed with the investigation while he sweats it out in the Vice Minister's office and buys us some time. He might get so wrung out to dry that all that'll be left are the dregs, though. So, how's the investigation going? All the juicy leads I was pinning my hopes on turned out to be duds. Honestly, I'm at a loss. There are reports that the Hanamizawa Dam project has been showing up a lot lately in the minister's press releases. And what about that? Well, you say showing up, but it's really more of a very slight feeling than something strange. He just happened to mention it during his speech at the XX Prefectural Forum, so it just might have been something that he was mentioning because it was relevant at the time. If I remember correctly, a local organization there was protesting quite violently, no? The Onigafuchi Defense Alliance. I think Akasaka-kun was investigating that. I think those guys could possibly be behind what's happening now. Even if we can't say there's anything overtly suspicious about them, it might not be prudent to remove them from the picture. Hey, it might not be prudent to remove them from the picture? Akasaka-kun reported in passing that he couldn't deny the possibility. Then isn't there merit in investigating them? We're going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and so if they're one of the suspicious groups that are left, we'll eventually have to. Well, they're not the only group we should investigate, right? If we're just talking about groups that are as suspicious as Onigafuchi, there's quite a few of them. We don't have the men, the time, or the money for it all. I'll try asking for more details from Akasaka-kun. I feel like we should pay some extra attention to this defense alliance. He's reported that he's established a rapport with the villagers. It also seems that he's collaborating with the local police. Keep your contact with Akasaka-kun on the down low. Also, if there's anything in his info that merits investigation as possible, we can send reinforcements. Got it. Sorry. Chief Kataoka. There's a phone call from the director. Should I transfer it over here? No, it's okay. I'll head over there. Yes, hello? What could have happened? What's in the box? What's in the box? believe that there... Oh no! Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't be a cat. Do you believe that there are choices in life? There are many people who lament the following. If there only existed points in life where there were clear choices to make, we would be able to scrutinize those carefully and make decisions that would lead us to a better future. Every time I hear people lament as such, I cast it off as a rather trivial worry. Even if you were given a clear choice, it wouldn't be meaningful at all, and there wouldn't be any such path to a better future. Is this hard to understand? Let's pretend that in front of you there are two strange boxes. In other words, you have two clear choices. Do you open the red box or the blue box? A lot of things would be uncertain even with that choice, wouldn't they? If you don't have the option of opening neither, then your choice boils down to the natural impulse of opening the box that holds the better result for you. Then, after examining the shape and features of each and pondering a great many things, you have to pick either the red or the blue. If this was you, which box would you open? Am I supposed to answer this for real? Blue. Let's say blue. Let's play blue. If you were to go by their traditional meanings, then red would be a dangerous, threatening color. However, that doesn't automatically mean that it would be calm and relaxing inside the blue box either. In fact, it might even be that the colors are a trap. Make you wary of the red box and have you open the blue. A trap? Could it be that the contents of the box aren't a reward, but rather a penalty? See, now you're at a loss. You're so conflicted over the choice between red and blue that you've started wishing there was an option to open neither and just leave. But there isn't. You have to open either the red box or the blue box. Oh, I forgot to say this, but if you choose one box, the other will disappear. So you'll never know the contents of the box you don't open. I'll just put that rule at the end there for you. Now, why don't you choose the red box or the blue box? It's alright, you won't lose anything by picking either one. Come on now. Wait, for real? Oh shit, it's not letting me, is it not letting me save? I mean, this is a tips, okay. Open the blue box. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color. Oi, oi! As soon as you choose, the other box disappeared. Neither of them did anything, did they? So you can give up on the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. Now open up the box you chose. Inside the box there was a stick of chewing gum. I know you're a little disappointed. Well, that's only natural. No matter how you look at it, it looks like you drew the dud. The correct box might have had a bar of chocolate in it for all you know. No, in fact, something incredible like a pair of tickets to Hawaii might have been in there. But even if you wanted to verify that, the other box has already disappeared. There's no way you can check now. But if you think about it from an optimistic point of view, just maybe the other box was empty and this box was the winner. And being satisfied, or perhaps not, with such a cheap prize, you pop it into your mouth and start chewing it happily. So, what do you think in the end? If you were given a second chance, would you try to open the other box? But unfortunately, the chance to choose between the red box and the blue box has come and gone, never to be seen again. The chance to change your selection will never come. But your parents often say every choice you make in life only happens once, so choose carefully. See, choices aren't that great after all. Aren't you a little disillusioned now? kind of the impression I'm getting. Burn. Burn, right? You're burn. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this. Yeah, it was exactly the same. Wait, no, it wasn't, was it? Hold on, hold on, hold on. This room opened up the box. There was a piece of caramel. Oh, it was different. Well, that's only natural. Remember how you look at it? It looks like you drew the dud, and the correct box might have a bunch of chocolate and toy. Verify the box used no way you can check now. Optimistic point of view, this is the winner after being perhaps not. In my case, I guess the red would have been the winner. What do you think in the end? Should we try the other box? Unfortunately, the chance between the shoes will never be seen again. The chance to change election will never come. Don't your preference often say? Choose carefully. Hee hee hee. See, choices aren't that great after all. Aren't you a little disillusioned now? Ha 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 ha. Wait, where's the thrill? You didn't mention thrill this time. That was... What? In the box there was a piece of caramel. I know you still want to sound natural. Oh, bar chocolate. Maybe there's a way. You're right. Everything in the end. Okay, one more. Let's go with blue. Wait. Chewing gum, that's right. The contents of the red box. Woohoo! Now open the box you chose. Inside the box there was a stick of chewing gum, but that's it. That's right. The contents of the red box. The blue box were a piece of caramel and a stick of chewing gum. You might have thought you made the wrong choice before, but now seeing them together like this, you can't really say that either choice was the wrong one. Well, I guess everybody has their personal preference. If you prefer caramel to gum, for example. Indeed! You're definitely thinking of choosing to open the box again based on that preference. The clear choices you wanted were basically this: the selfish desire to open up both boxes and compare the contents, then pick the one most suited to you. But you see, in reality is the same as the game. If you pick one, the one you didn't choose disappears, so there's no way you could check the result. If at that time, if you had done this, or perhaps if you had done that, then it wouldn't be hard to imagine that you could be happier, or perhaps less happy than you are now. In the end, you only have the pleasure of approving of or being disappointed by the choice that you did make. But that's fine. After all, didn't you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? Okay. So I see. Did you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? If, like now, you knew the contents of both boxes, then the choice between the red box or the blue box would just be a waste of time. Okay. Alright, Burn, I see your game. If that's who you are. Because instead of this boring game about boxes, you could by looking at the quickly changing evening summer sky, listening for distant sound of thunder, and pondering if it's going to rain or not. That would be much more fun. I see. The glint in the demon's eye. Yes. So the wake will be from 6 p.m. tomorrow, and the service will be the day afternoon until 1. The venue will be Okinomiya Ceremony Hall. See, it's Deputy Mayor Ikazawa's grandson's funeral we're talking about. We have to pay our respects. Mion, I'll have you go in my stead. Okay, got it. I am sorry, but they really should have used... Hold on, I'm gonna just... I mean... Okay, so even in the updated version, they didn't give her younger sprites for this? That's weird. I mean, by this point, the Hanamizawa bus stop had been made into a VN, right? Like, couldn't they? Those who don't know, Hanamizawa bus stop is a VN in which Was that ever made into a VN, actually? I know it was a manga, but it was the original draft of Higurashi, which um Rika, it was about Rika and Mion, but Rika was older and Mion was younger. So maybe. Ooh, neat. Hold on, I'm gonna put these up. What the hell? Sorry, I know we're like right at the end of this chapter here, and we all want to get to the next one soon, Justiguy. I've never seen this before, actually. This specific image, that is, and this is cool, because it is, after all, what about and just think us. Where are you? That's radical. Okay, so I'll just put them in a I assume Rika is supposed to be taller. Well, I guess she is. That's cool. Alright, let's put them in now. Okay, I think she still is older in a bus stop than she would be right now, since like right now I don't even think she's 10 years old, and as far as the timeline is concerned. But here's Mion, and then, which is really the only relevant one here, but anyway. And here is Rika Senpai. Neat. Anyway, enough of that. Is there not? I guess there isn't. They didn't give sprites for her being younger? Oh, that is bizarre. Like, I don't get it. Hey-ho. Whatever. Okay, got it. Should I wear mourning clothes? How much should I bring for the funeral offering? Go in your school uniform. Make sure you button it up front. The money, 50, no, 100,000 yen. They've done a lot for us. Young quietly whistled. And all the exorbitant amount of money her grandmother was offering. Zawa-san's been a prudent person since his days as head of the municipal office. Okinomi municipal office. Even if those government types paid me a visit, they'd always stay outside. But whenever I offered Ikazawa-san a cup of tea, he'd come inside and carefully listen to what I had to say. He always lent a proper ear to what people had to say. Others should learn from a person like him. The guests made a show of nodding, making it clear they were paying attention as Oryo reminisced. The sight of them trying not to get on Orio's bad side was humor enough to elicit laughter from Mion occasionally. How young was Deputy Mayor Ikazawa's grandson when he died? 7 years old, apparently. Oreo closed her eyes and shook her head lightly, lamenting the loss of such a young life. If I recall correctly, he said he only had one grandchild. Sad. Nothing worse for a parent than not their offspring. Ha ha ha! You're really nice to other people, Gran. You or I died, would you be this sad? Don't be stupid. It's something like that is bad luck. Having got the reaction she expected, Mion cackled. The two guests, unsure if they were supposed to laugh along, instead forced awkward smiles. We'll take our leave for today then. We'll be by tomorrow evening at 5 to pick you up. Until then, please excuse us. After bowing their heads repeatedly, the guests left by the front door. Mion saw them off, waving her little hand goodbye. They're gone. Must be rough for them to pay you a courtesy visit, Gran. It would have been fine if they just broke the news over the phone. Well, it was true that Sonozaki Onryo was a central person for both her relatives and the residents of Hanamizawa Village as a whole. As a voting bloc, they numbered in the several thousands. It wasn't hard to imagine the bear would try to pander to her. Unlike Mion, however, Onryo was looking up longingly at the sky from the veranda. What's the matter? Going senile? Ha ha ha! I just thought that no matter whose grandchild it was, I'd feel sorry for them. Saying that, she let out a deep sigh. Mion was let down. Normally, her grandmother would have scolded her for her attitude. Mion, you know, that minister's grandson, how long has it been since he was abducted? 4 days, maybe? Onryo let out another deep sigh. May be the grandchild of our bitter enemy, but I still feel sorry for him. Really? That's enough of a warning. We should bring this to an end soon. The playful expression drained from Mion's face, leaving behind a stern. And then, as if to ascertain Onryo's will, looked into her eyes. Onryo, expressing her intention with only those eyes, looked back into Mion. I want some tea. Would you call for some? Some of that chocolate, too. Mion gave a small nod and turned around. Kimiko-san, are you there? Grandma wants some tea. Could you prepare some? From far away, a voice responded in the affirmative. Mion, after confirming she'd been heard, picked up the phone and began dialing. Hello? This is Mion. Yeah. Is my father there? So chocolate is a good word. It just gives me things to think about, you know? Like it's always been kind of, I mean, I know I've always felt very, you know, clear on what, like, I actually really appreciate the arc before this one and Sotsu for giving us that other side of Mion, but I have always would have liked to have seen more from actual Mion's perspective on just her and her family, because like I don't know for sure, and I'd like to know how she feels about. I mean, I don't know how to put it into words. I don't know how if I said it on stream specifically, but she has been beyond Mion, not the Mion who is Mion that we know her. What is the best way I can put it? Is like probably, is this chapter 3 or yes? Okay, is like probably one of my like all-time favorite fictional characters ever. So I mean, I don't know, just I don't know. I'm always super extra invested when it's anything relating to her. But anyway, I'm gonna take like a 5-minute break. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, get like some water or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'll be right back, citizens, but until then, I am afraid that this is going to have to be farewell!